Hello, party people. Welcome to another tea sesh with Shannon D. That is me. This is where I interview dancers slash entrepreneurs to hopefully provide inspiration to you and our community. Especially with the pandemic that's happening, I just really think it's important to stay connected and stay inspired, stay motivated by listening to what people in our community are doing today. So, our guest today is a very well-rounded dancer. She not only is a dancer, but she has tons of special skills. She's a contortionist, actor. She's worked on television. She's been on tour with Daddy Yankee, Miami Heat dancer, and so much more. She loves cats. And she is very, very, very how do I say, driven as an entrepreneur, and that's why I have her on. So, Sophie, welcome to Tea Sesh.
Hello.
how how are you, darling?
I'm doing great. How are you? Thank you for having me on.
Thank you for coming on to the show. I'm super excited to dive into your brain because I feel like I feel like for a lot of people that watch you on your Instagram, they're probably like so curious about your life and what goes on in the Sophie world. So
much.
thanks for coming on. I know, right? Well, I want to start off with what tea you're drinking, girl.
So I am currently drinking out of my cat cup. One of my friends gave this to me. I'm drinking a chaga chai tea.
Oh, that's a mushroom. That's a mushroom, right?
Yeah, chaga mushroom. I got the mix in San Francisco, maybe like almost 2 weeks ago, and I really like it.
Is it a brand based in San Francisco?
So it's a small restaurant slash cafe, and they have a bunch of different teas and crazy mixes in their actual shop, and they also sell food. But then I tried the chaga tea, the chaga chai, and I loved it. And they were like, "Oh, hey, look at our whole section. They have like their pre-made powders that they make like there in the actual shop." So I bought it because it was really good, so I could have it at home.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Sell it anywhere else. I think it's only in their shop. So yeah.
Oh, so you probably, I'm sure they probably have gone online.
Yeah,
probably get it online maybe.
I haven't checked, but I wouldn't be surprised.
Chaga, I feel like what what are some of the good health benefits for chaga?
Chaga is antioxidant. It has lots of healing properties. It also helps to clean out your bloodstream, boost your immune system, especially now with the Rona out, the Rona zombie. Oh, I'm not trying to get the Rona zombie, so I'm just doing everything I can to keep my immune system like.
That's what I'm saying. So in March, you know, when we went on this lockdown, I said, okay, if there's no vaccine, then I am my own vaccine. So what can I do to really boost up my own immune system? And honestly, I haven't felt better in a really long time. So I know you and I have talked about this and how, I mean, for some people out there, it may not be a good time right now, but for others, it's a better time than most. And I know you and I have talked about this that you're loving it. How are you liking? Lockdown. Well, we're not on lockdown now, but how are you liking this whole situation with the pandemic?
Quarantine. It's definitely heartbreaking to kind of know that there are other people, or there are a lot of people who are kind of on the opposite spectrum of myself, or even, you know, like you. Like you're saying, we've talked about how we have kind of benefited from this more than we have kind of gotten like the downfall. So for that part, it's hard to know and think like there are people, friends and family that are like going through a lot, and there's not that much that we can do. But
Right.
for me personally, Man, I have had so much time to sharpen my own tools and my skills and just do so much inner work. And it's crazy because I feel like now I am so much more. I don't really like to use the word busy. I like to say productive because I feel like
Yeah.
oh, I'm so busy. Like I don't have time. But when you're but like you do have time. You've got to create time. So I just feel like now I've been able to be a lot more productive and create even more time for the things that are really important. And that's another thing is I've learned what's actually important and what's not.
Mm.
Yeah. So that's
No,
been
yeah.
that's I didn't know if you were gonna say something. So yeah, I mean,
Oh yeah, no, I would.
blessing in disguise, 100%. And like I'm really grateful to be on that side of everything. And thankfully, like I love being by myself, and I love just kind of being in tune with nature and not being around a lot of people all the time. And I love sleeping as well because sleep is
Yeah.
so important. Um, it's so weird though because there is something that I've learned is for some reason I cannot escape it. Is I think we've also had this conversation like a while back. Is we have a tendency to overbook ourselves and kind of
Oh my
a
gosh.
lot of different things on ourselves.
Mhm. Mhm.
There was a point right before all of this happened I was just like, wow, I gave myself some extra free time and I wasn't overbooking myself. So it's weird because during quarantine, maybe like the first couple of weeks, I was in straight up chill mode. But now I'm like, okay, I'm doing this, that, this, and I'm like, wait, what am I doing? I gotta go back to not overwhelming myself with so many different things. But at least now it's with things that I feel like actually matter and that'll kind of elevate
Right.
to in the long run, like to the future, and not kind of just for the now.
Okay. Well, going to that, as a dancer, you haven't been dancing that much. You haven't been working as a dancer that much, but what have you been focusing on? I know you have Shop Sona, which is your clothing line, and you've been adding some different products on there as well. Um, is that has dance kind of taken a back seat for now, or is that something that you're still planning once we get back to normal? How are you with that?
So dance is always going to be number one. And it's actually been a while now, probably about 2 years ish or so, give or take, that I've decided not to make dance as my first priority career wise. Um, so I will always dance for myself, and if I get job opportunities presented to me, dance wise, great. Like I'll definitely take it. I'm never gonna be like, no, I'm not gonna do it. I just won't go out of my way to go to dance auditions, if that makes any sense, unless it's like
Mm.
I don't have anything set that day, and I'm like, oh, I kind of want to take a free class, then I'll take it kind of like that. But I feel like I've already done the things that I wanted to with dance, that I'm just ready to kind of move on and step forward into my other goals that I've created for myself. So Sona is one of them. I've been thinking about and planning. I thought of the name like probably 5 years ago. I was just sitting on the name. I wasn't doing anything about it. I had like so many different concepts. And then maybe about 2, 3 years, yeah, maybe about 2.5 years ago, when I decided that I wasn't going to make dance my like prioritized career path,
Mm-hmm.
I was cleaning out my
Well, 1 second. What made you decide not to continue with dance?
because I did everything that I wanted to. So when I was younger, I set a goal that I really wanted to perform at Madison Square Garden in New York. That was like my all-time dream goal when I was younger as a kid. And when I say as a kid, like as a teenager, because when I was a kid, I didn't really know what Madison Square Garden was. Excuse me. And then I did. And after that, I was like, okay, now what? Like I had been
Mm.
in a movie. I did a bunch of commercials. I went on tour, and then I performed at Madison Square Garden. And then I was like, okay, what else can I do as a dancer? Like, I don't see myself being a choreographer as much as I love the creative art direction of that. Excuse me, I don't know why, like my throat is all, I think I'm nervous now.
All that mushroom in your
Oh,
throat.
maybe I need to drink more. Yeah, that did the trick. Yeah, so I never wanted to or cared to be a choreographer. That wasn't like my full-on passion. I've enjoyed kind of creating different routines, and I've had a thought of potentially having an entertainment production company, but that just never fully appealed to me because I felt like it was a responsibility that I didn't really care to have, if that makes sense. I also never really was interested in having a dance studio either. Maybe when I was a baby, when I didn't know the amount of different options that we could have, I was like, and then as far as teaching as a dance instructor, I'm like, I could teach when I'm 60, 70, 80, like I could teach when I'm a lot older. But I'm still super, super young. So I want to set goals in the meantime, because my mind is always changing all the time. So 5 years, 2 years, 5 months from now, I might be like, you know what, I want to open up my dance studio. So that might change. But as of right now, after I did what I wanted to with dance and I performed, I know kind of sounds silly that it's like, oh, there was that one goal, but I like to set like very specific goals for myself. And once I get to that, I'm like, okay, what else can I do? So after that, I had a bunch of different options, and I was just like, I'll always dance for myself, but I don't really see myself kind of following that path for the rest of my life. So that's when I got really interested in getting more into stunts and action acting. I've always I've been acting as a kid. So that's always kind of been in my repertoire as well. So that's what.
So you didn't just start off as a dancer?
Mm-mm.
Oh, how did you get into all the arts?
I don't know about that. So I started out, of course, with dance, right? And then my mom was the type of person who would literally put me in every single little thing, thankfully. And then she would kind of just let me pick and choose what I wanted to do the most. And so dance was always that one thing that I enjoyed. And then I also did piano. So those are the two main. But I did piano more for her than for myself. Because as a kid, I was like, I don't want to sit there for an hour playing piano. But it was kind of like, do good in school. It was like that type of vibe. And then to be honest, I think I had a musical theater class in my dance studio. And so we would sing and dance and act as well. And so I got really big into the theater world. And they brought in a guy named Peter Sklar, who had an off-Broadway workshop in New York. He lived in New York. So they brought him in, and they had like a mini audition to basically get into their intensive program. And so I got in full scholarship, which was pretty exciting.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and I went to that, and it was something that I've never experienced before. And it was just kind of weird because the scholarship kids were like placed in a completely different camp. And we were all like, we were put to work, man. It was weird because like we weren't allowed to talk with the normal paying students. But then I realized now that it was a lot of the things that he had said and done was basically testing, because he knew how the entertainment industry is and how that world works and how focused you really need to be. So I think there are certain things that now that I'm an adult, I'm kind of like, that's kind of questionable. But at the same time, I can kind of understand the tactic of like having to have thick skin. Like it was cool because they also stressed healthy eating. And he was like, you need to eat until you're full. If you're
Mm.
if you're still hungry, eat, because that's unhealthy to be starving yourself. But you should be eating healthy foods like whole foods. So all of the if anybody brought like any candies or processed like bread or sugar or anything like that, that was all thrown out. Which that was probably
Wow.
that was over 10 years ago, and that's kind of unorthodox then, you know. Um,
Yeah.
and so it was just very like talking about how common, especially in women, bulimia is, and
Mhm.
anorexia and all of that. So that's like on the positive sides of things. But I'm just gonna kind of wrap it up because I can go on about that whole story. So basically, and I had a bunch of different workshops and stuff like that. And then after that, I got back home. I had a couple auditions for Disney that was like through word of mouth. Um, and I got really close to being one of those Disney kids. And this is one of my most embarrassing.
Oh.
Yeah. So, but in my audition, my entire top fell off because so we had two parts. It was like the first round was your skill that you wanted to show off, and so I did dance, and so my top came off at a Disney audition with a bunch of kids, but I was young too, so whatever. And then so I got to the next round, and the next round was acting, and I thought that I did really great, but I ended up not getting to. So the following round was to come to LA and to meet like other casting directors and producers and stuff like that. So I didn't get to that part. But after that, I really realized how much I enjoyed acting. But
Mm.
that I was fully ready mentally or physically to get more into the acting world as an entertainer, at least career wise. It was more of like something fun for me because I was so focused on dance. And so
Right.
I've always done after that Disney audition, I did little acting things here and there. I was in drama club in high school and stuff like that. But I kind of my acting side of me fell off a little bit, and I just got really focused into dance. And then that's when I started getting into. I started dancing with the Miami Heat, and then blah blah
Right. And then you moved to LA. Was that more of a decision you made because you wanted to get into acting more, or was it because the dance scene per se in Florida wasn't as active?
blah. So I moved to LA because it was my main focus initially was dance.
Hmm.
But I didn't come to LA with that particular intent. I came to LA because I knew that it was a land of opportunities, and I knew that if I stayed in Miami, that I would just stay here. And it was very static.
Right.
Um, so that was actually my main reason. And then also because it's still warm out here. Like I could never live in New York because it gets way too cold.
Oh man, I'm yeah. If I was trying to be a Broadway dancer, then I guess I'd have no choice. But
Mhm.
yeah, I'm very thankful for being the type of dancer that I am, that I can live in a sunny place.
Yeah. So and
Huh?
it, and it's interesting because I never the entertainment world and dance as a career wasn't what drove me to move here.
Mm,
It was growth and opportunities, and I was just so open to whatever was going to come my way that I needed to get out of South Florida because I knew if I was going to stay there that I would just get stuck and I would just be doing the same exact thing that I was doing like 20 years ago, 15 years ago.
right. And so, do you feel that you have expanded? You have grown a lot from being here?
So much. It's been a, a roller coaster. Like when I first moved here, it was kind of interesting.
Is your phone, is your phone on by chance?
Yeah, so it's my phone, my text messages are connected to my laptop. So unfortunately,
Oh, gotcha.
yeah, I don't really
I'm
know how
like, is it
to.
meditation time?
Yeah, I don't know. Like the sound on my phone is off, but I don't know how to turn off the sound on my.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, there's a setting somewhere on your computer.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
I had to figure that out too. I was just like, God, how does this work?
Cool.
But anyway, huh?
No, I'm just playing around.
But anyway, I want to fast forward to and bring it back to you talking about Sona,
Yes.
which is your company.
So Sona, yeah, so like I was saying, I came up with the name like 5 years ago, and then a couple years later, I was cleaning out my laptop, and I found my Sona folder with all of my different drafts of all of these different things that I wanted to do. Initially, I wanted it to be more of like a I don't want to say natural cosmetic, but I guess natural handmade like lotions and stuff like that. Because there's a point where my mom was really into making um, like handmade lotions and perfumes and stuff like that with essential oils and clean ingredients and just kind of like keeping the chakra and all of that in mind. My mom's very spiritual. So when I wanted to incorporate her into that, and because I thought that that's amazing, there's a lot of products out there that have a lot of synthetic fragrances and just a bunch of crap in it that your body absorbs and it gets into your blood, and that's not really good for you. So initially that's what Sona was going to be, and I was like looking into all the different glass jars and all of this. So I was going through it and I'm like, what the heck, I did not realize how much time and how much thought that I was putting into this to kind of just put it on the back burner. But then I realized, I think at that point in time, I just was not ready to kind of dive into it more. And that was when I decided, okay, I'm like, well, what if and at this point, this was when I started training more into getting into stunts and getting a lot more into fitness and stuff like that. I'm like, well, what if I just start out with athleisure wear? And I also worked for the girls line of Lululemon, so I had learned a lot through them and through their business model. And I think that also kind of inspired me to get more into the athleisure wear.
Oh, interesting. Well, tell us about your process. Like, okay, you had this idea. What was the first piece of clothing that you decided to draft up and to have it produced and everything?
So it was sports bras. I have realized that a lot of, especially women up here, so many different sizes and comforts and stuff like that. It's just so different. And so initially I had a manufacturer in Bangladesh that was going to create like my styles, my designs. So I designed a sports bra and I sent it over to them, a family friend. And they sent everything back. They sent all of the designs that I had drawn out. And it was great. It just wasn't perfect. One is perfect. So then I kind of put it on the back burner again because I was like,
okay, so it was like a trial and error situation, and
lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of trial and error. I've also invested a lot more than I thought that I was going to, and lost a lot more in the beginning than I thought that I was going to, but just because I wanted things to be perfect, or like not necessarily perfect, but like I wanted everything to be up to par with what I had in my mind. And then I just had to kind of to realize, and I thank my boyfriend John for this, for just telling me like that doesn't matter. You literally just have to do it and put it out there, because if not, you're never going to put it out there. And so the first products that I put out, I was like, oh, I'm not that happy with it, but whatever. I put it out. And so those were some of the sports bras. And then I afterwards I came out with some sets and some like biker shorts. So at that point, it was a mixture of some of my own personal designs and then also wholesale, just because it was a lot easier that way. And importing and exporting has been pretty difficult because of what's been going on with Trump and all that and the border.
Yeah.
So
you're still doing that whole thing with that manufacturer, or have you just gone to different places, like China or?
So I stopped doing overseas for now with the clothing, and that's when I started really picking up this is where the blessing in disguise comes in quarantine, is like I started making my own athleisure wear by hand here, trying to figure out how I can make it fit to the way I want it to. That's that it's on me. Like I can't get like annoyed or frustrated that this person didn't follow the exact dimensions that I had asked. You know, it's on me. So
Yeah.
now I don't use that manufacturer. Sorry, I know this is probably really distracting. But I don't use the manufacturer overseas anymore. So there was a point that I was just doing the wholesale here. It was based out of LA though. And now I'm hoping, I'm still perfecting my skill. I'm hoping to release some stuff that I've personally made with love.
Nice. I mean, how much more difficult is that producing it on your own versus wholesale?
Well, with wholesale, because it's already made, you know, so you don't
Yeah.
to like, I've been sitting here because there's so many different cuts like that's very specific that I want personally. So that's kind of been a challenge of just drawing out the actual, I guess the mock-ups for the pieces. And that's been the biggest challenge. Like I've literally been sitting here for hours and hours. There was a time that I worked for 12 hours straight and I was like, I went crazy. I was I was like, okay, I can't do this. I need to stop like just sitting here for hours and hours straight. Like I forgot to eat. I didn't drink any water. So with wholesale, it's kind of like there's two different options that I have. It's quick. Like I can talk to somebody like, hey, here's a drawing that I have. Do you have something similar to this? Yeah, great. Here you go.
Right.
Or if
Yeah.
catalog, then I can look in their catalog and be like, oh, I really like this, I like that. And you just pick and choose. It's already made for you and you go. But the only downfall is it's not as exact as I would have liked.
That's how you
Yeah.
Have you heard of you've heard of Sarah Blakely, right? Do you know she has a masterclass that she put out on her creative process of building Spanx?
Is that recently?
Yeah, it's recent. I don't know if you watch the masterclass episodes. I was seeing all the ads and I thought, okay, I wonder how interesting or how in depth she goes with her process. And Malie, one of our friends, she had watched that and she said it's super valuable for an entrepreneur who is creating a product, and she basically just takes you step by step from the conception to production. I mean, to all of it, which I don't know if that would be helpful for you. But and yeah, check it out. But how is it going now? How is are you liking being an entrepreneur?
Yeah. I think there's just something so different about working for yourself and being in charge of all of the decisions. I mean, it's definitely a lot of pressure. And there's also that factor of, is it good enough? Because it's your baby. You want to put it out to the world how exactly you want it to be. But I've kind of overcome that already. And now I'm just at a point where, well, if it's not the way exactly that I want it, then I'm just going to put it out anyways. And I love it. And it's cool because I also applied that to my own personal life and as well as the entertainment side. So I have like two sides. Well, I have several different sides. I feel like a lot of us do. But I have my entertainment performer side, and then I have like my business entrepreneur side. But the things that I've learned with Sona, I've definitely applied within my personal life and my entertainment and creative side as well. And I think it's something that people should at least try to tap into because it also challenges you mentally. And just coming up with different ways and different ideas and being creative and innovative. And I think that's also important for your everyday life too. So
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. I love it so much, and not having to answer to anybody but myself.
Oh man, well that's the biggest thing I think too, because for dancers, you know, if you're trying to just be a dancer, well, you're kind of at the mercy of whoever's hiring you. So, you know, we're in this situation if you're just a full-time dancer and now everything is closed, you don't you don't have a boss that now what? Where are you left with? So I think it's really important for dancers to have multiple streams of income, and you know being an entrepreneur is one of them. So you know while you're dancing and while you're pursuing your dreams, you can still continue that while making money on the side or while you're going to auditions and stuff like that. And that's why I really like what you're doing, because it's something that, you know, yes, you're putting a lot of effort into it, and it is a lot of work being an entrepreneur, but you are working for yourself and it's going to pay you at the end and not anyone else. And it's going to pay you not just through, you know, monetarily, but also, you know, it's exactly what you said, you know, you having learned the 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 perfectionism that is can be sometimes very crippling, that, you know, as dancers we have to deal with all the time, you know. And I think a lot of people could learn from this and say, well, yeah, it's not perfect, but I'm gonna put it out there anyway, because that's a lot better than not doing anything at all. So
The
I
best
think that's great what you're doing.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Yeah, it's definitely the best way to learn for sure. And I think it's also important to realize that if you are just a dancer, I don't want to say just a dancer, if you are only a dancer and you don't have anything else under your repertoire, you're disposable. Dancers, unfortunately, are disposable, and this quarantine and this whole time is it's a huge eye opener, and it kind of is shows proof of that, you know. And so I think it's definitely really important to be able to be like, yeah, I can dance, but I also know how to sew, and I'm also working on a book, and I also know how to, like, there's so many different things. And I think that's the beauty and also the dangerous side of an artist is we can play multiple cards. We should.
Yeah, yeah. How do you, you know, for someone who's watching this, how do you obviously do many things, and you know you play music, you're in martial arts, you're an actor, you're a contortionist. How do you, well, one question is for you know a young dancer out there where you know they have people telling them, oh well, you should just really try and perfect, you know, one thing versus you should be good at all things. What are your thoughts on that? And then two, how do you how do you prioritize?
So I think as far as being good at one thing, I mean, I think it's amazing to be the master of one, because you know what's that saying, like the master of one, or like don't be a jack of all trades or something like that. But I think the thing that people mistake is that when they put all of their eggs in one basket, and that's when you're kind of setting yourself up for failure. I think it's important to set very, very, very specific goals for yourself, yes, but also allow yourself time to learn different things and new skills, even if it's not doing it for any kind of monetary value, even if it's doing it kind of for yourself. I think in the long run, it'll follow along. Like, okay, so for example, when I was very focused on dance, right? So when I first moved here, I was going ham in the dance industry, entertainment world. I was working a lot, doing all these things, but I was always interested in getting into martial arts and getting kind of more into fight choreography and stunts and action acting. So on the side, whenever I had free time, I would literally watch YouTube videos, and I just taught myself how to use nunchucks, and I would just try to learn something else when I wasn't working in the dance world or when I wasn't training or taking class. So
Mm-hmm.
I think that I would love it so as much as I do now. Absolutely not. But I still had my focus at the time with dance, and that was my, I guess, my forte, my master, you know. But I was still kind of working on things here and there. And I think that's something that's very important, where you can have your focus on one particular thing, but you can also still do other things because we have so many hours within the day. And then your next question, as far as prioritizing, I just try to listen to myself, and whatever I feel is more important, because every day it changes. Like my mind is like, oh, I like this, I like that. And I do have a tendency to be very scatterbrained, which is something that I'm totally working on, because I feel like a lot of artists and creative can definitely relate to this.
Tell me about it.
Wait, I want to do this. Oh my gosh, now I have this idea. What if I try doing that one? And blah, 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 blah. So I'll literally just write everything that I want to do, or at least if there's something else that I want to try that I've never done before, I'll write everything down. And then I'll think about how much it really actually matters to me. So I'll go outside. After I finish, I'll go outside and I'll think about it. Like I'll set at least 30 minutes to think about, okay, what is more important to me? What's most important to me? And then after that, I think about what is going to not just elevate me, but also elevate the people around me, because I feel like if I'm eating, my people are eating. Speaking of people,
hey John,
my people, so he like ran to the bathroom. Yeah, so if I'm eating, I'm gonna make sure that my people are eating. So those are my two main things of kind of like what's going to keep me at peace, as well as doing what I love and enjoy doing. Like that to me is number one. It's so important. And then number two is helping my environment, my close, tight-knit people, that's going to help elevate as well in the long run. And then another thing, the third one, is what is something else that I can do that's going to help people on a greater scale? So something beyond just me, something beyond like my friends and my family and those that are closest to me. But what can I do, or what's important in the world right now that's going to help people and help the earth on a larger scale? And then that I kind of will X out, like this can wait, that can wait, that I definitely get to hop on. But I'm like that old school. I've got my notebook. I like to write everything down, and that's been like a huge thing for me.
Heck yeah, I think that's been really helpful for me too, especially if you're an artist and you have so many ideas that you can jump on. To write them down and know that they're on paper, so it gives your brain a little bit more release to just kind of do something else, as opposed to hanging on to these ideas. When you have it on paper, it's I think it's much easier to sift through and like you said, figure out, okay, how much does this really mean for me? That's something that I just started doing a few months ago when I started bullet journaling. Oh man, lifesaver. But getting on that, are there any habits you've implemented within the past, I don't know, few months that have really shifted in your life in a positive way, or maybe this year?
Yeah, not feeling guilty about sleeping in.
Ooh.
Yeah. Also knowing the right time and place to do that, and like to have lazy times, lazy moments. So recently, another thing that I've been getting into is getting into the stock market during the quarantine. So I'll like try to set, there's times that I'll wake up at around 5:30-ish to kind of look at articles, because the pre-market opens at 6 a.m. So I'll give myself an extra 30 minutes beforehand to kind of look at the articles and read and educate myself a little bit on what's going to happen for that day. There was a point where I was like, I need to do this every single day. I need to wake up at 5 a.m., 5:30 a.m. every day, make sure to look at the market, blah, blah, blah. And then I've realized that I don't need to do that. It doesn't matter. I don't need to feel guilty about sleeping in at like till 10 a.m. or sleeping 10 hours that day, So I think that's kind of a habit that I don't know if that's necessarily a habit, but I think that's more of like an internal thing because I have a tendency to feel guilty if I'm not doing something that I feel could be as productive as it should be. And
Yeah.
that's something that I've just like, I've let go.
Letting go of guilt because you feel you're unproductive is super detrimental to people, especially dancers. And that leads to overwork, overexhaustion. Yeah, guys, don't get into that spiral.
Because it'll make you physically sick too. So that's part of your health. It's not just mental health. It's not just physical health. It's emotional health as well too. So.
And you know, you're in the middle of a pandemic. You can't do anything anyway. So just sleep, recover, and you know, work on your body. But I wanted to get into these quick poo questions.
Okay.
Is
Throw
poo. Um, this is a typical one that it's such a classic question and I love it so much. I love it when people answer this. If you could go back in time and tell 20-year-old Sophie, give 20-year-old Sophie any advice, what would it be?
What you think is really important is not as important as you think it is. Doesn't matter. Yeah, I think, at least for me, I have a tendency to overthink things just for myself, not for like other situations or people, but like anytime I do something, I guess it's kind of like that whole perfectionist mindset. I would always think like, should I do this? Is this right? Is this, I don't know if I'm on the right path or whatever. I would just question a lot of the things that I was doing. It doesn't matter. You just keep going, keep working hard, and at the end of the day, your hard work will pay off. Always.
Always. Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. Has there been a moment in your life where you initially thought, you know, it was a failure, but that led to a success for you?
Yeah, so when I first moved here, I was working a lot in the dance industry. I kind of feel like my story was almost opposite from a lot of people. I mean, I did like sleep on a mattress on the floor, sharing a one bedroom with my friend, you know, like that whole thing. But I got booked a lot in the beginning. So I'm very, very grateful for that. But I feel like that set me up for something that I was not ready for. So about a year in, I found out that I had a tumor in my ear/head. And this is actually another reason why I kind of was like thinking outside of just pursuing dancing as a career. And I became basically like, I'm very into holistic healing and I kept putting it off for years. Like even before I moved to LA, it was just put off as like an ear infection. But then I started bleeding through my ear and I was like, okay, this is not good. So by the time I got to the doctor, they were like, the tumor is the size of a golf ball. It's not cancerous, but your skull could collapse if we don't take it out ASAP. So at the time, I did not have any health insurance. I didn't have any of that. Like I was, like 23 at the time. I didn't have family. I didn't have anybody. So I was just like, what the heck? But I did have buttload of money saved, which, you know, money's money. But at the end of the day, like I needed to cover my hospital bills. So like the universe was kind of looking out for me in that sense of like, all right, we're going to gift you with all of these blessings right now because life is about to get really hard.
Oh, wow.
So I had to undergo 2 surgeries. So the first one was to completely take it out. And then I was completely deaf in my right ear. And I had to have a second one because what I had was to make sure that there was no residue in there, because if there was, there's a chance for it to grow back. Because it was from an outside source. I think it could have been because I was swimming so much. Like I don't really know exactly what it was. But yeah. So And then also the second surgery was to fix my hearing. So I'm like a cyborg. I have titanium in my ear, so now I can hear.
Oh, no way.
But I can't hear perfectly. So sometimes when people talk to me, like I feel like sometimes they think that I'm ignoring them, but I'm not. Like I just maybe won't hear them as good or something like that. But yeah, so
Oh, wow.
like I felt like that took 2 years of my life out here, and I was in a whole nother dump because health to me is so important. Like if you don't have health, like if you don't have your health, like what can you do, you know? And especially
Right.
as a performer, and I was just like, I literally had nothing else to show for myself other than dancing. That
Mm-hmm.
was another eye opener of like, oh, okay, you gotta figure something else out, like get more stuff in your repertoire. But that was a huge, I don't want to say fail, because to me, I kind of see it now as a blessing in disguise. But at the time,
Right.
it was like, why me? What did I do to deserve it? You know, like those typical questions that people ask if like something bad happens to you. um, but yeah, that took like 2 years of my life. I felt like I couldn't do anything. I didn't want to do anything. I was so unmotivated. And I was just like, well, there goes my performing dance artistic career. And what do I have to do now? Like I ended up getting a job at a bar afterwards. And I was just not happy. Like I was not Sophie at all.
Mm.
And I'm really grateful for my roommates at the time that were there for me, but I'm also apologetic to them because like I was just not who I normally am, you know, and they still put up with like down sad Sophie, you know. But I think whenever you do have fails or something negative, or like you're on a down in that part of your roller coaster, it's always going to be a blessing in disguise, because for me that was such an eye opener. And that's when afterwards, it took me a while to kind of get myself out of that hole, but I was like, I realized it doesn't matter. Life goes on. I still have my whole body, like,
Yeah.
you know, like I'm still here. So why am I going to continue to pity myself over something that's done already? Like you got it taken care of and it's good. And if anything, you got the good end of it. So
Right.
yeah, that was like a huge turning point for me for sure.
Holy moly. That is gnarly. Wow. I'm so glad you came out of that. Okay. And you know, going off of that, as dancers, we tend to put health last on the list.
Mm-hmm.
That's just how it is. And actually, money comes before health well, not just for dancers, but for a lot of people. And you know, um, I'm glad that you're putting out your uh, holistic knowledge out there and stuff. If you guys want to follow Sophie, she's at So Cookin on Instagram, and if you just check out her story, she'll give you nuggets of healthful information, that you can implement into your daily life, and it's super easy, super doable. And what's great about holistic health is that it's basically free and just super inexpensive that you can do on a daily uh, to help your health, which is great.
Preventative medicine. If you could prevent any future large health issues, just why not at least try? Sometimes it might just be out of your control, but you can always try.
You can always try, yeah. And you have a lot of control. This is what you can control. You can control what happens on the inside. You may not be able to control what's happening on the outside, but whatever you can control, you should try and control, right? Um, do you have any advice for young dancers out there? I feel like you have so much experience, and not just in dance, but in all fields. So, do you have any practical advice for them at all?
Yeah, read a lot of books. It could be literally anything. I just have found personally that it's helped me a lot to kind of open my mind and expand my knowledge of different things and my creativity as well. So that's one. And go outside as much as you can. Like, be one with nature. And get out, because especially in LA, or just if you're in the industry, it's so easy to kind of get stuck on that constant hamster wheel of like, okay, I need to get an audition, I need to train, I need to do this. Like, take a second. If you're in LA, you've got mountains super close to you.
Right.
Just go outside, take a breath, and breathe. So those are my two main things that I feel like are very simple things that have helped me tremendously.
What's your one book that that helped you a lot?
I really like The Alchemist. The Alchemist is
That's a good book.
It's a great book. Yeah. And then
I love that book.
The health one is The China Study.
Oh, yes. Ooh, that is a super eye-opening book, The China Study.
Yeah. The people need to know.
The people need to know, and okay, how do you deal with this? Because yes, 100% people need to know. Sometimes people don't want to know.
That is true. Unfortunately.
Sometimes people really just don't want to know. And it's and this is how I have a lot more empathy towards people of what's happening now, people who refuse to wear a mask. Okay, I have empathy for you because in other aspects of my life that people have told me the truth and I refuse to accept it. I was that person not wearing a mask, you know? So,
yeah, so that level of understanding, but also at the same time, it's kind of like, even if you don't want to wear a mask for you, for yourself, at least wear it and try to be considerate of other people. And I think this just goes outside of the whole mask thing, but like that goes for your life as well. If there's certain things that you, let's say your health, like you don't care about your health, whatever, but what about your family? What about the people who actually care about you? And if you do get sick,
right.
who are the people that are going to have to take care of you? So,
right.
Like that type of thing.
No, that's yeah, absolutely true. A couple of more questions. Then I have some questions that people have sent me via Instagram. I'll just ask a couple of those. And so for, let's say, an 18-year-old dancer who is, probably moved out of their hometown, and they're in LA or maybe New York, and they have really not much happening, and they have an idea. They have a product idea. Do you have any practical tips that you can give them, since you kind of are walking down that road right now, of how they could go about creating their own products?
Yeah. So first, give yourself so much freaking credit, because moving somewhere else without any family or people that you know is already like a huge deal, especially when you're at a younger age. So that's like, I think, number one. You've got to give yourself credit where it's deserved.
Heck yeah.
And then as far as if you have an idea for a particular product, execution is number one. I think it's one thing to have an idea and then another to execute it. And a lot of people, which I was totally one of these people, is it took me forever to execute. But what did help me was talking to people about it and telling people like, hey, so I'm thinking about doing this and maybe that, talking to my friends or talking to my family members, and just literally pitching my own ideas out to those who are closest to me, even if I didn't necessarily care for their opinion at the time. At least it was me putting it out there of like, okay, well, now this is kind of, it'll help you like hold yourself a little bit more accountable, where it's like, well, I've been speaking it into existence, so I should probably do something about it, because if not, nobody's going to take me seriously.
Yeah.
I mean, not that it really matters about the other people, but I think before you execute, there is like that slight fear and doubt that sometimes we can have. But if you speak it into existence and you talk to people about it, that's really helpful too. And if your circle and your environment is right for you, they'll elevate you. They'll be there to kind of guide you and be like, heck yeah, just do that, and kind of give them more and more support that you need.
Okay. Well, but let's. Okay. So this question comes from not a lot of. These are very light questions. I will ask them nonetheless. Okay. This comes from Manuel. His question is, he's from Mexico, and his question is, what is your best joke?
Oh, okay. I got you. You want to hear a pizza joke?
Okay.
Nah, it's too cheesy.
Wow.
I should be a comedian.
You should do. Welcome, Sophie. Not only is she a dancer, but she can make you laugh while putting her head. This question, I know, right? Yes. Speaking of, let me pose this question. I have one question from Cheyenne from LA. Her question is, can you make letters of your name with your body? Of course you can.
Yeah. To be honest, I don't think I've actually tried to do that, but I've made other letters, so I don't see why I can't make SOPHIE.
I definitely think you could do it.
Yeah.
I think maybe E would be a little bit difficult. I don't even know.
Maybe I'll try doing it after we get off.
Yeah, you can put it on your story and tag tag this person. One more question. This comes from Jill. She is from Baltimore. She wants to know, because she is obsessed with donuts, what's your favorite donut?
I like simple, like cinnamon donuts, or even just plain. I know I'm super basic, but
yeah. Hey man, I love vanilla ice cream, so
ice cream's good.
Yeah. Vanilla ice cream and
well, hold on a second. You know what? I like blueberry donuts. There we go.
Blueberry, cake donuts. Yeah. Have you tried the blueberry donut from a Donut Friend?
Yes. That's why I was thinking about it, and I was like, oh, I like that one. Yeah, that one's good.
Oof, so good. Have you tried do you like custard?
I'm not too much of a fan of custard.
Oh man, gosh, darn, because if you were.
I like it, but I can't have, I like it when I just have like a bite, but I can't have like a whole thing with custard in it. It's like too much for me.
It is a lot. It's kind of not a donut at that point, so it's more of like a stuffed cake. But whew, that is good, guys. If you haven't been, Donut Friend, it's an all vegan donut spot, and they have the most amazing custom made donuts, and you can create your own donut. They're just not doing it right now because of the pandemic, but I have one more question for you, because I absolutely love your new product, which is your wellness kit. But in that wellness kit is your Shop Sona Therapy cork balls. Tell us a little bit about that. Tell us about your process, because I know you said that it took 3 months to find someone who will manufacture this for you. And tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah, so oh my goodness, I don't even know where to start. Wait, does this thing cut off at an hour?
No, it cuts off in about 11 hours. I'm just so we won't go for that long, but
okay, so we're good.
You're good.
We got about
you good. You good on time. You good on time. I want to know.
Okay, so yeah, wellness kit. kind of goes back to partially the original idea that I had with Sona, right? So making the handmade bath bombs. That started out with literally just a conversation. And then as far as these cork massage balls, so I use these things all the time. A lot of athletes do, but I think it's really important for everyday people to use because I think like a lot of people usually like to use a foam roller, right, to roll out their muscles and stuff like that. But if you have a knot, your muscles and knots and stuff like that are three-dimensional. So you think about if you have a bunch of rubber bands tied together, right, and the knot is in the middle, if you're just foam rolling over the knot, you're literally just stretching out everything that's already stretched out, and you're not targeting and pinpointing that particular knot. But if you have something that does like trigger point therapy, like the massage balls, you can get into that particular knot and kind of massage it out in different angles just in that particular spot. So I'm a fan of massage balls because they're inexpensive, they're light. I just stick it in my bag everywhere. But I've always used the rubber ones. And I know that's really bad for the environment. And I also don't like the smell of some of them. It's like that weird rubber that kind of just stays. I know some people that'll put like essential oils and stuff like that on top of it. But I was like, I was having a conversation with my boyfriend, and I was like, it would be cool because we have a massage ball that's like from another company and has their logo and stuff on it. I was like, oh, that would be cool if I could get a massage ball with my own logo on it. And he's like, yeah, do it, like for sure. So, but I don't want rubber though. Like I want something that would at least be biodegradable. And then I've never seen that before, and I had never really seen it either. And then I remembered about I've seen like cork yoga blocks, and I was like, oh, maybe.
Oh yeah.
So I was like, maybe they have massage balls. I don't see why not, because they're both like, it's hard enough. So I was kind of researching online, and I found a company, I forget their name, that they had these cork massage balls, and I was like, oh, this is awesome.
Oh, so they did have it.
Yeah, and it was literally just one company that I found that had massage balls, but they only manufacture it, I think like for themselves. And it took me, I know I said it like really fast, but it took me a while to find like these people. And then so that's when I was starting to dig deeper into finding manufacturers and wholesalers and stuff like that, because I don't know how to make something like this myself.
Yeah.
And then majority of them, I ended up finding a couple, but majority of them said that they would only make it if I ordered like 5,000 to 10,000. And
And is this overseas or this is here in the US?
Overseas.
Okay.
Because there's nobody in the US that I've found that would make it. So it was overseas, which I get why they would be like, hey, you got to order 5,000, and I was just I'm not ordering 5,000 of these things.
Cork balls.
Now, at least, like I'm not quite there yet. Eventually, maybe, but yeah. So I was just doing a bunch of research, kind of looking more and more into these cork massage balls, and I also wanted to try to make sure that they came from sustainable forests or recycled cork. Because that's another thing too, because I don't want you to be tearing down all of these forests and all of these trees just to make this if it doesn't need to. So
exactly,
there's something that's sustainable, like it's like specifically grown to make these, and that's different. Or if you're using already recycled cork that's already being made out there, that's perfect. So that was another thing too. So I found some companies that did make the cork balls overseas that were willing to make a smaller amount, but they weren't from recycled corks or from sustainable forests. So I finally, and I think they like had randomly like put themselves more out there, because I definitely, like one day I was looking online again, and I found them like kind of fairly easy. And I'm like, you guys were not here before. Because so I was just like looking online, Google is your best friend or my best friend.
Yeah.
And I found people who they have, I think they have like 11 to 15-ish employees. So they have it's like a tight-knit group of people. It comes from a sustainable forest. It is overseas. However, I would love to be able to get these things within the US. So I'm still continue to try to find people who would manufacture them. And at least they're from the sustainable forests. My next goal would be to be able to get them from actual recycled quartz, like people who drink wine and stuff like that. And
Oh, right.
yeah, so it was a very long process.
So it took you, you said, yeah, it took you 3 months, right?
Yeah, it took me 3 months to find these babies.
And so did you have to purchase 5,000? No, you didn't have to, right?
That was actually one of the bigger challenges is the book. I didn't want to get so much. And I also haven't, I'm not in a place to just drop like 20 G's
Yeah.
So maybe at least again. So yeah, so I was able to order a fairly small amount. I ordered about 100 and they custom made them for me.
That's amazing.
And then I got the 2. So this is like yeah.
Absolutely amazing. How does it compare to? I'm definitely gonna order one because I currently have a lacrosse ball.
Nice.
Yeah, and how does it like? Is it a little bit harder than a lacrosse ball, or is it just as?
So I would say it's probably about the same hardness as a lacrosse ball, but it's a lot lighter. It's a lot lighter.
Ooh.
Yeah. So the company that I found that I saw that they actually sell on their website, the cork balls, they were promoting it for hikers because it's so light that it doesn't weigh down your bag. Whereas some of the other balls or all of the other balls are a lot heavier. So it was like,
Yeah.
It's a lot lighter. And then if it does get wet, it's not like it'll still hold up if it gets a little wet. But of course you don't want to like dunk it into water because it still is wood.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's probably about the same hardness. It does have a little bit of give, but not really. It's hard.
Oh, very cool. It bounces. Well, I am super excited to order one. Guys, check out Sophie's website. It is shopsona.com. Not only does she have athleisure wear, but she also has obviously these cork balls. These are amazing gifts, actually. And she has accessories and a new wellness kit out, which I think is really cool. And I think every dancer should be really taking the time to take care of themselves, especially now that cases are on the rise, okay, and yet economy is still open. So be very careful, everyone. And that is thanks for coming on, Sophie. I feel like I have so many more questions for you, but we'll keep it short. I'll invite you another time,
Yeah, this is fun.
Yeah, thanks for coming on. Again, her Instagram, check out So Cookin' on IG. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Do you have any other new products coming out?
Yeah, so first of all, thanks for having me again. And just like the wellness kit, I make the handmade massage ball, not massage balls, I'm like looking at the massage ball. So I make the handmade bath bombs, handmade salt scrubs, which I use essential oils specifically to help with healing, like in anti-inflammatory and muscle recovery and stuff like that. And then it also includes a handmade candle if you're a person that heals and gets like finds peace with your scent. Yeah, she makes them like synthetic free, doesn't have a bunch of crapola in them. And it's also a good way to celebrate and elevate other artists as well too.
Yes.
So, yeah, those are the
Absolutely. Artists support artists.
100%.
Well, thank you again, Sophie, for coming on. I super appreciate it. I wish you so much luck. And yeah, everyone stay tuned. This coming Thursday, I'm going to have a panel discussion regarding body image with dancers because I think it's a very important topic and it's something that we should all be talking about. It's because it's going to dramatically affect not just your career, but also your entire life. So I'll be with Mulie Fernandez. She's the owner of Coco Tiki Entertainment. Kehao, who is the owner of Academy Polynesian Art, and we have Tatiana, who is one of the most amazing Pilates slash yoga instructors based in Chico, California. So stay tuned. That's this Thursday, I believe, at 1 p.m. 1 p.m. So thank you again, Sophie. I will see you soon. I'm sure I'm going to see you soon.
Yeah.
Okay. Bye, everyone.
Bye.